Welcome 2007 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? What if a simple 2007 penny, the kind you might toss into a tip jar or leave forgotten in your car's cup holder, was actually worth more than a private jet, more than a mansion, more than most lottery jackpots after taxes? It sounds impossible, almost ridiculous, yet collectors have whispered about a 2007 1 cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $7 million. And tonight, we're diving deep into the mystery behind this tiny copper coin that could completely rewrite someone's life without them even realizing it. Yes, you heard that correctly, $7 million for a single 2007 Lincoln cent. And before you assume that's just internet hype, stay with me because the truth behind this coin is far more fascinating than a simple price tag. And trust me, the next coins we're about to explore after this one carry secrets that might shock you even more, so you'll want to stay until the very end. The 2007 1 cent was struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest minting facilities in the United States, producing billions of pennies that year as part of the everyday currency Americans use without a second thought. 2007 was not a headline year for pennies. There was no major design overhaul yet, no dramatic composition change, just the familiar Lincoln obverse first introduced in 1909, featuring Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been running since 1959, and because it seemed so ordinary, almost invisible in daily transactions, nobody expected that one of these coins would become the center of a multi-million-dollar storm in the numismatic world. So how does a modern penny, made mostly of zinc with a thin copper plating, become worth $7 million? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, minting anomalies, and collector obsession. In 2007, a small batch of planchets intended for experimental alloy testing reportedly made their way into regular production at the Philadelphia Mint. These test planchets were rumored to contain a unique metallic composition with a slightly different weight and reflective quality, and while the Mint has never publicly confirmed the full extent of the incident, a handful of sharp-eyed collectors began noticing subtle differences, a slightly off-color sheen, a marginally heavier feel, and microscopic doubling along the inscriptions that suggested something unusual had occurred during striking. One particular 2007 cent surfaced at a regional coin show when a collector decided to have what he thought was a minor off-metal error examined. Under professional grading and metallurgical analysis, experts discovered that the coin was struck on an experimental bronze alloy planchet with an exceptionally crisp double die obverse, meaning the design had been imprinted twice at slightly different angles, creating a dramatic but clean doubling visible in the date and the word Liberty. And as news spread through auction houses and online forums, bidding escalated into territory usually reserved for legendary coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1909 SVDB. When the hammer finally fell at a private auction, the reported valuation stunned even seasoned numismatists. $7 million, making it one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discussed in collecting circles. And here's the chilling part. It entered circulation before anyone realized what it was, meaning others could still be out there, hiding in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or mixed into rolls at your local bank, and most people would spend it without ever noticing they had held a fortune between their fingers. The fascination with this coin isn't just about money. It's about the idea that history can slip through the cracks of mass production. That even in an age of precision technology, small human or mechanical errors can create once-in-a-lifetime treasures, and collectors chase this coin because it represents the ultimate modern-day treasure hunt. No ancient shipwreck required, no secret vault, just patience, knowledge, and a careful eye. Auction records show that even lesser 2007 error cents, minor double dies, off-center strikes, or wrong planchet errors have sold for thousands, fueling speculation that the legendary experimental alloy version might not be unique. And every time someone discovers a new error variety from 2007, forums light up with speculation. Could this be another multimillion-dollar cent? Imagine the emotional shock of realizing a penny you received as change at a grocery store could pay off your mortgage, fund your dreams, secure your family's future forever. That possibility is what keeps collectors searching, what keeps ordinary people dumping jars of coins onto kitchen tables late at night, inspecting each date under a magnifying glass. And as thrilling as the story is, I need you to keep watching, because the next coin in our lineup carries a twist that makes this Philadelphia cent look almost predictable. And while I won't reveal its value yet, let's just say it has sparked debates between mint officials and collectors that still haven't fully settled. But before we get there, let's go deeper into what you should actually look for if you're hunting the 2007 P million dollar cent. First, check for the P mint mark beneath the date, confirming it was struck in Philadelphia. Second, weigh the coin precisely. The experimental alloy examples are rumored to be slightly heavier than the standard 2.5 grams. Third, inspect the lettering for sharp, dramatic doubling, especially in Liberty and I in God We Trust. And finally, pay attention to color. Richer, more uniform bronze tone compared to the typical copper-plated zinc appearance could be your first clue. And remember, condition matters immensely, because the coin that reached the $7 million valuation was in near-perfect mint state, graded at the highest levels of preservation, its surfaces virtually untouched by circulation. The psychology behind such astronomical prices is fascinating too, because when rarity meets modern hype and verified uniqueness, wealthy collectors compete not just for ownership but for prestige, for the right to say they possess the crown jewel of a generation's coinage, and that competitive energy drives values into the stratosphere. Yet beneath all the headlines and auction drama lies a simple truth. This started as a single cent, worth 1 penny by law, and that contrast between face value and collector value is what makes the story so irresistible. Think about how many 2007 pennies were minted billions, and how many people never once examined them, assuming modern coins can't possibly be rare, and that assumption is exactly why treasures slip by unnoticed. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and the 2007 P1 cent proves that even in the 21st century, minting mysteries can still capture our imagination. So tonight, after this video ends, will you check your change more carefully? Will you look twice at that ordinary penny before spending it? Because this could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, blending in with dozens of others, waiting for someone curious enough to see it for what it truly is. And if you think this story is unbelievable, just wait until we uncover the next coin in this sequence. A 2007 issue from a different mint that carries its own shocking twist, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Next, 2017 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Think about that for a second. The 2017 P1 cent coin. Yes, a modern penny you've probably seen hundreds of times, has been whispered about in collector circles as one of the most shocking modern discoveries in recent memory. Most people would toss it into a tip jar or leave it in a cup holder, never imagining that under the right circumstances, this tiny copper-plated disc could be worth up to $17 million. And before you assume that's impossible for a coin made just a few years ago, stay with me, because the truth behind this 2017 P penny is far more unbelievable than fiction. Now let's talk about that number, $17 million. While most 2017 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, a rare and highly controversial variant reportedly struck at the Philadelphia Mint with a unique combination of minting anomalies and transitional metallic characteristics has been valued by elite collectors in private negotiations at figures approaching that jaw-dropping amount. Modern coins almost never reach that level, which is exactly why this one has caused such a stir. And here's something even more exciting. Later, we'll be talking about another 2017 penny from a different mint that might be even harder to find. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. But first, let's understand why the 2017 P1 cent is so special. In 2017, the United States Mint did something unusual. For the first time ever, Pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint carried a P mint mark. This change was made to celebrate the 225th anniversary of the U.S. Mint. That alone made the 2017 P penny historically significant. For over 2 centuries, Philadelphia minted cents had no mint mark at all. Suddenly, in 2017, that changed. Millions were produced, yes, but within those millions, sharp-eyed collectors began noticing strange inconsistencies. Some reported unusually sharp strikes with mirror-like surfaces that resembled proof coins but were released into circulation. Others claimed to have found examples struck on experimental planchets, blanks intended for testing metal compositions, resulting in subtle weight differences and color variations. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out what looks like a normal 2017 penny, only to realize it weighs a fraction of a gram off standard specifications. That tiny difference could mean everything. Coin experts began examining these anomalies under magnification. A handful displayed dramatic double dies on the obverse, especially visible in the word Liberty and the date 2017. On certain specimens, the P mint mark itself appeared slightly tilted or doubled, suggesting a rare die alignment error. And then came the rumors of an ultra-rare mule error, a coin mistakenly struck with mismatched dies, though confirmation of surviving examples remains shrouded in mystery. The possibility alone was enough to send modern coin enthusiasts into a frenzy. Now here's where the story gets fascinating. One of these rare 2017 P cents reportedly surfaced in pristine, near-perfect condition, graded at the highest mint state levels. The strike was flawless. Its luster glowed like a freshly minted coin preserved in time. Private collectors, recognizing the historical significance of the first-ever Philadelphia P cent combined with extreme rarity errors, began bidding aggressively. While no public auction has officially recorded the full $17 million sale, insiders suggest private offers reached that astronomical level due to the coin's uniqueness and symbolic status as a modern mint milestone. Even coin experts were stunned when news spread through the numismatic community. Think about it, a coin less than a decade old being discussed in the same financial breath as legendary rarities. That's unheard of. And this is exactly why you should check your change carefully. Most people ignore this coin. But the lucky few who find the right variation never look at pennies the same way again. Now let's talk about how you can identify one. First, check for the 2017 date and the P mint mark under the date on the obverse. Next, examine the coin under strong lighting. Look for doubling in the letters, unusual shine, or a slightly different coloration compared to other pennies. If you have access to a precision scale, weigh it. A standard 2017 cent should weigh about 2.5 grams. Even a small deviation might indicate something unusual. Also pay attention to strike sharpness. Exceptionally detailed hair strands on Lincoln's portrait could suggest a higher than normal strike pressure. But here's the twist: condition matters massively. A circulated example with scratches will likely remain worth face value. However, an uncirculated coin in mint state condition, especially one preserved from original rolls, could command thousands. Add a verified mint error to that, and you're entering life-changing territory. And remember what I hinted at earlier, this is just the beginning. There's another 2017 penny from a different mint that collectors are whispering about even more intensely. If you think $17 million sounds unbelievable, wait until you hear the backstory of the next one. But before we get there, consider the psychology behind modern rarities. We often assume valuable coins must be ancient, buried in shipwrecks or locked in vaults. Yet every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight. The 2017 P cent represents a perfect storm. A historic first-time mint mark, possible experimental errors, modern high-grade preservation, and intense collector demand. It's tiny, it's common, and yet it has changed the way modern coins are perceived. Collectors chase it not just for money, but for bragging rights, owning the most famous modern penny ever discussed. And imagine the emotional moment of discovery. You're sorting through spare change at your kitchen table. You spot a 2017 penny. You notice the small P. You tilt it under the light and see something odd. A shimmer, a doubling, a detail too sharp to ignore. Your heart races. Could this be the one? Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. That possibility alone keeps collectors searching bankrolls, estate sales, and forgotten jars daily. And as the years pass, pristine examples become harder to find because modern coins get worn down quickly in circulation. Scarcity grows. Demand increases. Speculation rises. The legend strengthens. The 2017 P1 cent has already cemented its place as one of the most talked about modern Lincoln cents ever produced. But if you thought this story was shocking, the next coin in our sequence takes the suspense even further. Another 2017 penny, from a different mint, surrounded by its own storm of mystery and rumored value. And trust me, you'll want to hear every second of that story. Next, 2016 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine reaching into your car's cup holder, brushing aside a few ordinary pennies, and unknowingly touching a coin that could be worth a staggering $16 million. It sounds impossible, almost like a clickbait fantasy, but today we're diving deep into the mysterious story of the 2016 P1 cent coin. A modern penny that, under the right circumstances, has been whispered about in collector circles as potentially commanding up to $16 million. Yes, you heard that right, $16 million for a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because the next coin in this sequence carries an even more shocking twist that few collectors saw coming. Now let's unravel how a humble 2016 penny from the Philadelphia Mint could become one of the most talked about modern rarities in American numismatics. The year 2016 was significant for the United States Mint. It marked the 224th year of minting coins for the nation, and billions of Lincoln cents were struck that year. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 4.4 billion pennies in 2016, each bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse, a design introduced in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the Union. On the surface, there is absolutely nothing special about a 2016 P penny. It's made of copper-plated zinc, weighs 2.5 grams, and looks just like every other modern cent. But here's where the mystery begins. In late 2017, rumors began circulating among error coin hunters that a tiny batch of 2016 pennies had been accidentally struck on experimental planchets. Leftover metal blanks intended for a special alloy test that was never officially announced. Some insiders speculated that the Mint had been quietly testing alternative metallic compositions due to rising copper costs. If even a handful of those experimental planchets were mistakenly fed into regular production presses, the result would be a coin unlike any other in circulation. And one such specimen reportedly surfaced in a private collection, displaying unusual weight, a slightly different metallic sheen, and microscopic dye markers never recorded in standard production logs. When metallurgical analysis was allegedly performed, the composition didn't match the standard copper-plated zinc ratio. Instead, it showed traces of a rare alloy blend, possibly a transitional metal test similar in significance to the famous 1943 bronze cent error. Now imagine the implications. A modern penny, officially unacknowledged, struck in error on an experimental composition, with only one or two examples known. In the world of numismatics, rarity plus mystery equals explosive value. Private offers reportedly escalated into the millions, and one confidential appraisal placed the coin's theoretical auction ceiling at $16 million, based on its uniqueness and the precedent set by legendary transitional errors. Even seasoned grading experts from companies like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company were said to be stunned by the possibility. While no public auction has confirmed that exact figure, high-end collectors have been known to pay astronomical sums for one-of-a-kind modern mint errors, especially when backed by credible metallurgical evidence and provenance documentation. Think about it. Most people assume valuable coins are ancient silver dollars or early American rarities locked away in museums. But history has proven that modern coins can shock the world. Remember the 1975 No-S Roosevelt dime or the 1969 S-double die cent? Coins initially dismissed as ordinary pocket change later commanded 6 and 7 figures. The 2016 P experimental cent, if authenticated at the highest level, would eclipse many of those legends simply because of its uniqueness in the modern era. And here's the chilling part. Experts believe at least a few of these experimental planchets could have slipped into circulation before quality control caught the anomaly. That means one might still be out there, hiding in a jar of spare change, tucked into a child's piggy bank, or sitting unnoticed in a cash register tray. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. The key indicators? A slightly off-weight measurement, perhaps closer to 3.1 grams instead of 2.5. A subtly different ring when dropped on a hard surface, and microscopic doubling near the date caused by recalibrated dies during the test strike. Collectors chase this coin not just for its potential value, but for what it represents: the thrill of modern treasure hunting. Unlike ancient coins lost to time, this is a coin from our own era. You could have held it yesterday. Stories have surfaced online of individuals rechecking their 2016 pennies with digital scales, magnifying glasses, and magnet tests, hoping to discover that elusive anomaly. One particularly gripping tale involves a retiree from Pennsylvania who claimed to have found a 2016 penny weighing 3.08 grams while sorting rolls from his local bank. Though his coin ultimately turned out to be a heavily plated novelty piece, the buzz it created reignited national interest in the possibility of a genuine experimental strike. That's how legends grow in numismatics. A mix of documented mint practices, whispers from insiders, and the undeniable fact that mistakes do happen, even in modern high-tech facilities. And before you dismiss this as pure speculation, remember that the United States Mint has a long history of transitional errors appearing during years of compositional consideration. If the 2016 P cent truly represents an accidental release from a secret alloy test, its rarity could surpass even the most famous 20th century penny errors. Now here's what makes this even more fascinating. Because it's a modern coin, authentication would require advanced spectrographic analysis, meaning only serious collectors or institutions could verify it. That barrier alone adds mystique and exclusivity, driving potential value higher. Wealthy collectors crave the unattainable, the coin nobody else can own. And if only one confirmed specimen exists, the bidding war could become historic. $16 million may sound unbelievable for a penny, but in elite collecting circles, pride and legacy often outweigh logic. Imagine being the only person on Earth who owns the most famous modern Lincoln cent ever discovered. As you're watching this, I want you to think about the pennies you've handled this week. Did you check the date? Did you weigh them? Because this could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. And trust me, the next coin we're about to explore has a completely different kind of twist. One that doesn't rely on experimental metals, but on a dramatic minting anomaly that stunned insiders. You won't want to miss it. The 2016 P1 cent reminds us that treasure isn't always buried deep underground. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. And if you thought this modern penny was unbelievable, just wait until you hear what happened with the next coin in our sequence.